Hello again, viewers, and welcome to Jaama FM, our online radio and TV station here at the Gateway in the Gambia. Our tagline, our strapline is Shaping Minds and Transforming Lives. I just had a really beautiful chat with Mr. Bubakar Jaita of Carefinder, and I promised you I was going to speak again to somebody else who literally is like a brother, family, friend. Also, he came for the public speaking training at the Forbes Academy, but we've gone beyond that. Part of what I'm doing is to just showcase a lot of what's happening here that's good. As I said in the last interview, somebody, I believe it's an American president or so, that conjured this phrase called unsung heroes. And you can understand why, because people are doing great things and sometimes it's not mainstream. And one of the strange things that can happen to a country like ours is that we can search outside for what is actually inside. We just don't know it's inside because we have not given it exposure. Part of what we will be doing here, together with so many other things, programs for young people, women, men, marriage, health, education, travel, project writing, anything that makes a TV and radio station run. Will create a proper playlist, Bible study, of course, church, which we are doing here. But for what I'm doing now, I just want to be able to showcase what people are doing, and it's at no cost. The cost is the total joy and upliftment of our country, and for me, that's fine. A gentleman who I have known for quite a while walked in to do public speaking. He did the first segment, he did the second segment, he did the third segment, defended his speech. This is a man who wears like 7 different caps, first-class degree in law, diploma in, that's Cavendish University, Uganda, YE law diploma, football developer, promoter, husband, father, businessman, the CEO and founder of Creation Plus, Mr. Sadibou Kamaso. And we call ourselves Sebo. Sebo in the Ugandan language is Mr. And there's a reason why we do that, so we won't go into that. But Sebo, I'll stop there. And he speaks a bit of the language. Sadibou, one would have thought that with all you do, you must have a lot of gray hair now. Because what you've been able to achieve is not what people achieve at your age. They do it at their 70, 80, and they're walking with a walking stick and it. So you're definitely driven. And I see in you a man who never allowed everything that was an impediment, that was a block, that was an impossible situation to stand before him. Tell us your story.
Jebale Sebo.
Jebale, yeah, okay. Jebale. Jebale nyo. All right.
So thank you, Pastor. It's an honor to be here. I've been following this series of interviews, and to be honest, like you said, the unsung heroes, a lot of the people who have gone through this interview series have had remarkable journeys getting to where they are today. And a good number of them you wouldn't have known, I wouldn't have known, somebody else wouldn't have known, unless and until they're interviewed by you. So definitely I believe this is something that other people could emulate. Don't copy, but, you know, excuse me, you cannot change the beginning of your journey.
Yeah.
But you always have the opportunity and the chance to change where you're heading to.
All right, so we are back in school. Point number 1, that's something you must tweet. They don't tweet now. Do we exit?
Yes.
So exit, tweet it. All right, you can. So your history is your history.
Exactly.
But you can do something about your future.
You can definitely do something about
your
future.
Sir. I'm enjoying this.
I've learned from my mentor, who's sitting right next to me, that...
Where is he?
right here, Pastor himself. Vision, roadmap, tools. If you're getting into anything and you do not have a vision, you'll just run around and you'll come back to the same place. You don't even know what you're doing.
That's right.
So whatever you're getting into, you should have a vision. With the vision, then you'll create a roadmap to decide, this is how I'm going to achieve my vision. And then the tools. Are you using a plane? Are you using a bike? Whatever you're doing to get to your... If you do not have these three, I had this idea, but to put it into a concept like you did was the problem. So sometimes it's important to meet certain people that can help you contextualize things, and then I've always been a laser-sharp focused type of person. Thank God for that. I'm a self-motivated person. Growing up, I come from a very humble background. When I was going to Gambia High School, I was in Gambia High School from 92 to 98. In Methodist primary school, before I went to Gambia High, when you're doing very well, like I scored the best grades, they call it Tobal. So I didn't even do primary 3. From primary 2, I went...
Double promotion.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're one of those. All right.
So I remember in primary 6, we had a teacher called Roland Toure, Mr. Toure. And he had group A, and there was A1, A2, A3. I was in group A1.
Wow.
You dare not miss your place in group A1. So a lot of those things shaped me, despite the fact that my parents were not literate. So they barely knew what I did in class. But my mom would say, are you first in class? That's all she knows. You're first tally.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
So you're first tally. So, and the compound I was living is a Christian compound, the Frasers, thanks to them, because of them I was able to go to school.
Wow.
None of my sisters went to school.
Wow.
But they encouraged my dad to take me to school, because I was hanging with, Louis and John. And they'll see how I interact. They told my dad, this boy should go to school.
Wow.
So I went to school, and thank God, I'm here today. So thanks to the Frasers for doing that. When I went to Gambia High School, just before I graduated, I remember most of my friends were talking about I-20s. Hey, I got an acceptance. You come from a humble background. Your parents don't even know what that is. They cannot give you a bank statement, talk less of an affidavit or to go and get a visa. Thinking I-20, what do I do? I'm like, okay. So one day the boys were sitting and I'm like, I also have an L20. The local 20, because I was international.
So they had international 20, you had your L20.
L20,
And you were not ashamed?
No. Back in high school, some of them would say, Saimo Katla. Those days you have some of your colleagues that will come in Nikes or Reeboks. I didn't have that.
Wow.
I remember there was a time I came to school with a Nike with a double E. It was those fake Nikes. And as soon as I came, I told them, boys, I'm Nike S. Those are the things you do to survive.
Yes.
I had to survive, And my friends were talking about those things. I knew there was nobody to help me to go to uni. I had to settle for something. I thought, right after school, I'm going to go get a job. And before I graduated, I used to hang around some of my kotos in Banjul, And what are we doing here? I don't even drink attire. But I'll be there. Wow. They'll send me, I'll hang with them. I don't drink attire.
Wow.
I mean, from that early age, I think God also helped that I realized attire was just wasting my time. It was a time waste. I mean, 10, 14 people sitting there drinking, waiting for that cast. The kotos. I'm sorry to say.
You're on your own.
Yes.
No, but yep, let's talk.
10, 14
because
people.
Have we quantified the number of hours we spend there with that brother at the first cast? It's like,
I'll drink tea. My dad had friends. They'll come to our house every evening to drink attire. They'll force me to him. I think it was twice that I did it. They asked me not to. I deliberately made it terrible.
Quick. Oh, okay.
You cannot. So, get out. Because I didn't like it.
Because I watched the brother, then you hold it, and then the 2 cars there.
And look at it. Half of the time, the discussions there are not progressive.
Oh, boy.
I mean, with all due respect to them, because you talk, I don't even have a VU, Pastor. I don't have a VU. I don't do VU.
So you're not in Dongo Banjul?
I'm on Dongo Banjul. I've done everything on Dongo Banjul would do. We go to I've done things I'm not proud. I've done everything on Dongo Banjul. Go to Wafinjago.
Reading and Dix.
No, Banjulians don't read Dix.
Dix.
We have a lot of you know, the dirty drainages. So Banjul Dix, I remember John one time.
So I'm one up on you. Mama, Papa, me.
No, we would go Sachi Mango.
All right.
We come all the way to the combos.
All right.
Uti Jibui, Uti Pan.
So you've rooked.
All those things, yes. Even Pat and Julie.
Chai.
We take a fake, you know,
All right.
child and put, you know, and say that yours.
Okay, all right, you qualify. Okay, I take
So I've done all of those things. So
Wow.
I used to tell them, I mean, why aren't you guys working or looking for? And they'll tell me, so watch you know, But guess what, Pastor? When I finished high school, at some point I employed most of those people because I had an organization called Inter-Exchange Gambia. Because when I finished high school in July, in December, before I got a job at Sito, but before that, I had a video camera. So I'll go to naming ceremonies, you know, these Gentes, yeah, you know, video camera, and then I get my money, and I'll come home and give my parents something.
Wow.
So I became responsible at an early age.
Yes.
After that, I started buying RAM for Tobaski, and my dad stopped buying RAM.
Wow.
My mom will attest to that. So when I got my first job at Sito, that was December, 16th December, 98. My friend Alaji spoke to the late Kasali Ukilen and said, you know, he's offered us a job because Alaji was friends with Reiki. Kasali was only his daughter.
Yeah.
He said,
They had Rock. I remember.
ROC, yes. Rock means Reiki, Olivia, and Kas.
Oh, okay.
That's what ROC means.
right.
He said, we've got a job here, you should come.
Yeah, they had an office somewhere around where QCell is.
Exactly.
Somewhere around. I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I came there, and thanks to him too, I lived in Banjul, so I'll get a van from Banjul, $2 to Westfield, and then walk from Westfield to ROC. So when you come, you know, Mr. Gillen,
Wow.
God bless his soul, he was, you know, some other, yeah.
Straight.
Sadibou, your shoes, you know, you'll go and, so before you come, you'll make sure your shoes are all shiny and everything. So
after walking from Westfield
I
to
used to have a
LK.
sponge in my pocket.
Of course.
You know, I'll have a sponge in my pocket. You're all tucked in, and that shaped, you know, just after high school. So we were there working at Student and Youth Travel Organization. We used to do student travel, like some of these students that want to go to universities and things like that. So that's what we were doing. Alaji and I were working there. But next door, they had ROC Heights that was doing graphic designs and printing.
Yes, I remember.
There was Mrs. Gillen, Mr. Gillen's wife, and there was another lady in Daiture. So I'll go around and check what they're doing and see what, that's how I taught myself graphics. No one taught me graphics.
Wow. And today you own your company.
Yes, I'm one of the best designers here. And I mean, I can, you know, when I would go there and see what they're doing, sometimes it was like, what are you, I'm just checking what you're doing. I remember there was a day one of the staff was not in, and they were waiting to get something done. I said, I can do it. You know, the late Mr. Gillen was like, you know, sorry, you know, we talk Creole. It's like, you will do it? I say, yeah, make a try. I sat there and the way I was clicking, he said, but who's how you learn this? I was like, I come here and see what they're doing. I wanted to, you know, I wanted to learn what they were doing. And that's how I started doing the graphics, you know. I was doing that together with the student travel. So when Sito, you know, was closed, I was able to start Inter-Exchange Gambia. But during that course, I met Usainu Dambel, DBC, who was also starting Dambel Business Corporation.
We didn't even have you were in Fajara somewhere there.
We started there.
Behind the police.
It was in the house, in Canifing South. See where QCell is building now at the back?
Yes.
Usainu and them used to live there. We struggled. We will those days, lights were terrible. We will carry our computers to Spy Bar, go to Bakau, wherever there's light, that's where we go and print. You know, we were getting jobs. Usain was very good at marketing. He brings in jobs. I'll be there, do the graphics and the printing. We deliver on time. We'll go to Dakar, sleep in Bara.
To get spares, tools and things
go to Dakar to print or get some material. Sometimes you come, the ferry is gone, you sleep in Bara. Come the next day. We did all of that. So I was able to have Inter-Exchange Gambia started because whilst I was there, I realized that there were students that would want to volunteer. But they only allowed to volunteer if they had experience. It was VSO and Peace Corps.
Okay.
And I knew there was a gap because there are gap year students that would want to volunteer. You know, they don't have any experience and it helps them. And I had not started uni yet, but you know, just research.
So you plugged into that gap?
Yes. So I started putting this thing up. There was a website called idealist.org. So you can put in the profile of what you're doing. I had the organization registered and I put all the details there. Every day I was online to reply to every email.
Has anybody checked your IQ, by the way?
There are people that are far smarter than I am. I think
Wow.
I've always wanted to be better. I
Yes.
mean, if I want to learn to do this, as soon as I learn that, for me, it's like, it's become obsolete. I'm thinking of the next thing.
Wow.
You know, even now, I go to work on a public holiday. People tell me, take public holiday, I don't know public. Like, I'm private. I'm not public.
Yeah.
You know, Henry Longfellow said, the height attained and kept by men is not by sudden flight. But they, while their friends were asleep, they kept toiling in the night.
That's right.
So if you want to rise above equals, you always have to be thinking above and beyond. You should always want to do better.
So you went to the UK.
Yes.
How did that happen?
I took myself to the UK.
How?
Pastor, when I started Inter-Exchange Gambia, I made sure every person that made a request or an inquiry got very clear and precise information.
And you were doing it within the hour, if I remember. You told me
Yes,
something like that.
within the hour. As soon as they arrive, within an hour, I make sure that they get a reply. And you remember those times internet was terrible.
Yeah.
2001, 2002. But I was making sure that I replied to all the emails. My first volunteer that came was from Netherlands. When she came, I even asked her, I said, you're dealing with a young guy. Why did you trust me? She said, my instincts told me everything was right because you were replying and your messages were clear. They were precise. You were not beating about the bush. I made research as to what VSO and Peace Corps were doing, so I knew where I could fit in. And I did that. What I told them was, you can come in and volunteer with organizations that are here that are struggling with finances and they cannot employ high-end staff. And with the little experience or whatever experience you have, you can fit in well because they are not going to pay you, but you will add value. And secondly, we're not giving you a hotel, but we can give you a host family that you can give a certain amount. I spoke to different families. Yes, I spoke to people used to tell me, Sadibou, don't want to have. Because I'll talk to host families to say, you know, I've got a lady that is coming or a gentleman that is coming, you know, would you be happy to host them? There are some families that even connected and I think they helped each other to go to England.
Look at that.
So we did that and I employed some of the quarters that I used to sit around with. So some of them will be helping with orientation. So when you send a request, we'll tell you what you need to do and then we charge you a certain fee for the orientation, the first 5 days where you're going to stay and what we're going to use to take you to your, you know, place of volunteering in Gunjur. The first place we took someone was in Gunjur, Tarut. I remember that. Inga was from Netherlands, sorry. So she came with the experience she had. You know, we were using her, you know, to tell the others what was happening. The next we had 2 people. The next we had 6 at one go from the UK. Yeah, 6 people. Then we had another guy from Japan. I had to go pick up in Dakar. The person was struggling. I remember John was here, and I told John, we have a volunteer coming. The guy is like, wait, Sadibou, why Dembe Dakar? We drove to Dakar, picked him up, and then we brought him. So I was making sure they were all happy. They told Mundo Challenge, they were also a UK company. They were UK charity that was sending volunteers here, but you know, the orientation and the people that were handling them here was not up to the standard as ours. So they contacted me and said, would you like to be working with us? I said, well, so long as it's not conflicting with what we do. So we spoke. Anthony Lunch was the director. And I told him what we did. He asked me how old I was and if I'd been to university. I said, no. But how did you? I said, research, you know. So they said, would you like to be country manager for Mondo Challenge? I said, I'm happy to. So that's how I became country manager for Mondo Challenge. And because Mondo Challenge would invite all the managers every year, so they invited me. I had to use my own bank statement because I was making savings from the volunteers that were coming in. They were paying, you know, program fee.
And you were saving?
I was saving. I bought 2 cars, one for myself and one for the office. At that time, I was like 19, 20. I was not married yet.
Wow.
I lived in Banjul. Yeah, so...
Well, I told you his story is going to blow you away. And this is all true. You can fact check it.
Yeah.
So you flew to...
To UK.
All right.
I bought my own ticket. They just sent me an invitation. I went and I applied for the visa. And I got the visa. So I went to the UK. So every year I was getting to the UK. Eventually, Anthony Lunch advised that, you know, he thought I needed to go to uni. I said, I want to do, but, you know, I don't have the savings to do that. even when I moved to UK to do uni, you know, when you start and then you get stuck with finances, you change uni and stuff like that. So I kept doing that. So I had a lot of experience, and I thought I needed to come back home. I even tried to join the army in the UK. I did my BFT and everything.
Are we not glad you did it?
My mom, you know, my mom, she's like, Sadibou, you know, I'm a more father, you know.
They will kill you, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so I know you went to uni. I know you did all kinds of job. And at the same time, you were running the business here.
Yes.
Tell us that part.
Okay, whilst I was there, I was making sure I communicate with the staff every day. I was doing like 3 jobs. I was working as a security, and I was working at Asia Foods. And then I was also working at Virgin. It was called Holmes Place. I used to work there 2 days, Saturdays and Sundays. It was a gym. So I would work there so that I can make some money, but then I can have free access to the gym. But the security job was my main job. And I'll work at...
And from those 3 funds, you did uni and you ran.
Yes. My wife was staying with me. My daughter was there in the UK. My brother, took my brother to the UK as well, because I have 7 sisters and 1 brother. Because I needed somebody to help me with the family, I brought him there. So I was helping the office back home as to, you know, how they can cushion and, you know, sustain themselves.
So listening to you, Sadibou, I also, and I've interacted with you, so I know that you're straight, you're strict, you're firm, but you are also somebody who is patient. Was there an incident when somebody threw soup on your face in the UK?
That was the security, yeah. I was a supervisor, and even the supervisor job, how I became a supervisor, because you know when you're applying for jobs there as security, you cannot put all of that on your CV.
Yeah.
So I'd say, you know, I worked as a security in Gambia, blah, blah, blah. They took me. One day, Frank Farrelly, he was my boss, he interviewed me and said, okay. So he kept me there, and then most of the places that he would take me will give reviews about what I was doing. And one time, he told me he wanted to do, you know, a background check on all of us. So he needed people to write references. Let me tell him all the places I've actually worked. I said, okay, I'll be honest. I gave him Mondo Challenge. I gave him Ultrasoft, because when I was in Gambia, I was managing Ultrasoft part-time.
Okay.
I would work at Inter-Exchange up to 12, and then I go to Ultrasoft up to 4, and then I come back.
So before there was Rabba, you were...
I was doing that.
You were doing it?
Because I would go to Dakar and buy papers in the morning. I'll drive here. I've been doing that a long time. I leave here, Force Ferry, go to Dakar. I'll be there by 1 o'clock, by 3 I'm back. Same day. My mom used to tell me to stop that. I'll come and sell stationery to some of these printing presses. That's how I got to know Mr. Jassy of Ultrasoft.
Yes.
So I was there one time too. They were struggling with some graphics work, and I told them I could. So I helped them, and then he said, why can't you? I said, no, I'm running my own business. So we spoke, and he said, can you even be coming part-time? But whilst I was there, you know, I was stamping my authority on a lot of things, and then he said, I'd like you to be general manager. So I was doing 2 jobs even at that time.
Wow.
Before I got married. So I'll be there. So I'll be there till late. I go home at around 10 o'clock, you know. But in the UK, so when Frank asked for the background checks, Mondo Challenge wrote a very good, you know, that was
reference.
That was more than a reference, because when he showed me, you know, I was emotional.
Yeah.
He said to me, but Sadibou, why didn't you tell me? I said, I couldn't have told you this is what I did. You wouldn't believe me. Why would a guy with this experience be looking for a security job?
Yeah.
He said, I'll give you 1 week to see if you can transform the office. And then if you can, then I'll make you a manager. Within a week, I was able to do that. He gave me a petrol card. He gave me a car, the company car that I was driving. And then he was contributing to my rent. So even when my wife came, I wasn't struggling with rent. You know, that's how I became a manager. So I was supervising the staff. So we went to Cheltenham Racecourse this time, and, you know, we were stopping these people from bringing any soup, you know.
Bachelor's cup of soup.
So I gave the orders to say, I don't want to see any of those. You know, I was talking on the radio. So at one of the gates, these guys were getting very, you know, noisy. So they called me over the radio and said, you should come here. Because somebody was wondering why we've been stopped to bring in soup. They've been doing this for a long time. So I came. The guy just looked at me. Was it you, mate? I said, yeah. And then he just...
And at that point, all your gym exercise, you...
Now you have to exercise patience because that's what we were taught as security guard. Like my boss would say, you want to go home or you want to go to jail. No matter what, you've trained. I was walking out and, you do a bit of training, but he keeps telling us, you want to go home or you want to go to jail? So I just wiped it. Even the guy felt bad afterwards. I just wiped it and told all the, your colleagues would want to, I was like, no, let him go. And, we'd wear white. So I just went back, took the white off, had my jacket, and then continued. I just said, no soups. Don't worry about it.
Why didn't you quit?
You don't quit. Winners don't quit, Pastor. There was a target. I knew where I wanted to go. That was one of the least things that I could encounter. I walked at Bristol Street Motors where some guys came in and wanted to break in. And some of my colleagues, we were running all over the place. The next day, the guards none of them came there. There was this other place that we walked at. They said it was an abandoned church, and some of the guys felt it's haunted and stuff. My boss told me to keep going until he tells me to stop. And I was going. You just park your car outside and make sure the kids don't go there. I had to figure out what to do. I realized it was the kids that were actually making some of those, making those noises. So I made friends with them, bring my ball and, start playing with them. So even when I got changed, they were making empires. So you always have to find a way to survive.
All right. Yeah. So you came back home. When did you start Creation Plus?
2008.
Football. Law. We're going to squeeze everything tonight.
The law actually, it was my mom that made me stop, so I transitioned to international relations. That's what I studied. I did my diploma, and I had a distinction. I started the law.
Okay.
Second, third year, and then she said, lawyer, I'm better. My mom.
Yeah.
So that's why even the JFF presidency, I told her this time around, please, this one, you have to come to my side.
If I'm right, Cavendish University, the chancellor is Obasanjo or somebody like that.
Goodluck Jonathan.
Goodluck Jonathan, yeah, that's a Nigerian president. Okay.
It used to be the former president of Zambia.
Kaunda? Chiluba?
No. The name would come. Yeah. And when he passed on, that's when...
The one that passed on,
Goodluck Jonathan. Goodluck Jonathan came.
So you went to Uganda, did you enjoy it there?
Uganda's beautiful.
Border.
I remember my first experience on the border. When I came, I grabbed the guy like that on the border. It was like, man, leave me. I'm like, no. I said, I drive cars back home.
I know.
So we went to, Ginger Road. That's like big intersection. And there were so many borders waiting.
Yeah.
When the police asks them to go, it's like a swarm of bees.
Yes.
We stood there and I grabbed this man and I looked on the side and I saw this lady was sitting sideways with her phone. And
you felt so small.
I said, man, is this lady using a seat belt or something? Saying, everybody sits normal. You're the one grabbing me like. So I just, from that day on, it's a mine.
Yeah.
From that day on.
I'm really going to go through you, Sadibou. You did law for a particular reason. You want to share that with us? The players' transfers and all that?
I wanted to understand how these things happen because I'm into football.
Yeah.
We do a lot of contracts, we do a lot of negotiations. I felt, if you do the law, you're able to better understand what is happening. And at that time, I was CEO of a club. I was not even doing player transfers. I was working for one club. But because of our dealings with them, and everything was centered around me, so I made sure I read law. So I started with the diploma, got a distinction, and then I went to Cavendish. Then I transitioned to international relations and diplomatic studies. I got a first class in that as well. Yeah. They were, asking me to do the masters, but I wanted to come and do public speaking before I could do.
We finished that a long time ago now.
Yes, but time, of late, I'm
All right, so
is to make me better because you deal with people. As a kid, my friends go to your church. And I used to come, when the church was in Serikunda there. Yes. Sometimes I'll drive them there, I'll take the car, I'll come there, I'll enjoy the music and I'll listen, like people will say, Pastor Yaladov Komei, I'll be there and I keep saying, Yaladov Komei. These are things people practice.
That's right, you practice.
I've always wanted to do that. But football is my passion. The business is something that I have to do to survive, but it's something that I love as well.
And I want to erase that word survive, Sadibou. You know why? Because the Forbes Academy's experience with Creation Plus is never late. Everything is packaged well, more than we expect. And it happens even when you are not in town. And sometimes, forgive me, I shouldn't be saying that, sometimes I feel, oh, Sadibou, we've run out of brochures. Please, I have a corporate training starting on Wednesday. And before like 3 p.m., not only are they ready, but somebody drops them here for us. So you and your staff.
Whatever you do,
Do they have a nickname for you? Mr. Perfect? Mr. Driven?
No, we used to be called lastminute.com, Creation Plus. Some of our customers would say, even if you call us at night, we're there to deliver.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so true. Look, I know when I have issues like that, they deliver.
I've worked with people that don't joke with what they do, and it shaped me, because they always make sure that whatever they put in everything that they can. If you're doing a job and you're doing it just to pass time or just to survive, that's why I said for us, is to survive, but it's beyond that. We have to be better every day. So for us, whatever we learn, whatever we're doing, we make sure we always want to ensure our customers are happy.
I am happy.
If they're happy, they come back. That's why if they're not, I tell my staff, if the customer's not happy, they'll not come the next time. And they have a right to.
And they'll tell other people too.
If they come and we're treating them badly, they can come in there and see what they'll be like. Instead of doing a $100,000 business, they'll ask you, business card nyatala? Just not to embarrass themselves.
That's right.
You know, 500, okay, I'm definitely, but they go, that's it. But if you serve them well, you ensure they're happy, you know, you'll keep them. There's so many printing companies in town. When I got into the printing business, there weren't many. It was the New Type Press, National Printing, DBC was there, Ultrasoft. There weren't many.
It's 4 or 5.
But now, you probably have over 200 printing companies in town. But what we managed to do is to keep our top clients. Then the rest we can, because some of your staff, you'll train them and they'll leave with some of the, which is okay. And I don't have any issues training my staff, because I believe when they come there, we have to do an orientation. If your staff don't understand the vision of the organization, you have a problem. So we make sure they understand
everywhere.
That our customers have to be happy. If a customer is telling me I'm calling your staff and I don't get them on the phone, then the staff doesn't understand how we work. And I tell my staff, I want you to understand me and mirror me in such a way that when I start a sentence, you can complete it. So that's why even when I'm not there.
So now I know why we get the kind of service. Now I know.
You should. When you come to work with us, I'll tell you I'm difficult if you're not doing it the right way. But I'm easy if you're getting it done the right way. The customer has to be happy, no matter what. If we can't, we tell the customer what's possible. Even if it's impossible, we try to make it possible.
All right. So does that mean that your boys go to bed at this time, wake at this time, eat their, wash their plates? You know, how are the boys?
Overtime.
And how is mama? How? I'm sure. By the way, you have a hobby, apart from all these things.
Football, reading.
Football is not. I remember I called you the last time. I said, Pastor, the match is on Saturday. I thought, come on, Sadibou. But you know, I saw you. Is it you're around the country?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're doing some training.
Capacity building. Capacity building.
Wow.
Okay, because of the last GFF elections, I realized most of the grassroots clubs are struggling with. There's a huge capacity gap between, you know, the policy makers at the high, you know, and the people who are below. We need to bridge that gap. That way they have a better understanding of how things are done. Otherwise, we will struggle to be able to tell the people what you are selling, the ideas you're selling. You can come, because when I was coming into the GFF elections, we wanted to stimulate interest and passion, to increase stakeholder participation so that football and its benefits can come to the doorstep of every Gambian. But how do you do that? How do you stimulate an interest and passion if they don't understand what is happening? So you talk to some of these grassroots clubs, they'll tell you, oh, so do we need to vote? They don't understand. So in order for them to understand, I thought it's important that we go out there and sell. The first time I said I was going to do a capacity building, they were asking, does he have the capacity? The GFF was saying that, but I know. Because I'm an opposition, once you contest for it, opposition is good for a country. That is what makes things work. If you're, otherwise it's a monarchy.
That's right.
And I'm doing this pro bono, I'm not taking, in fact they come, we give them lunch, we give them breakfast, So that's what we're doing. So NBR contacted, when I did the first training, there were people all the way from Basse. They came here and spent the night for training, and I realized we need to do more. So we went to NBR,
To meet them.
and we did that. We had over 24 clubs. We have another one that is coming up in September. I wouldn't tell them where it is, because I'm sure, sometimes they'll tell them, don't go to the training. And this is a training these people have a right.
Wow.
So what we're doing, is to build the capacity of all these administrators.
So are you involved in, is it scouting, or do scouts contact you? Football is a whole big thing. And
Yeah, I'm a partner at Sportlex. Sportlex is a football agency. I'm a partner. I'm not a FIFA licensed agent. I have my reasons why. But
and
I'm
you
a
are subscribed to Fabio, what's he called? The guy that tells us about all
Romano.
the movements. Romano also, all right. Okay.
So what we do is my partner, Luigi Sorrentino, is an Italian, together with Massimo. He used to be a sporting director of a club in Italy. We organize scoutings here. So what we do, we invite clubs from different countries, Italy, Croatia, Turkey. They come to Gambia. We invite clubs to come and play. And then if any of their players is identified, they go. But you realize sometimes you even organize that they tell some clubs, don't go, don't go.
But you've taken people before.
So many players. So the reason why sometimes we don't tell people who was gone is because there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
People are expecting a lot from them.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So,
Last week, 2 of our players had their visas. They should be going to Italy.
are you
in 2
taking
weeks.
them or?
Yes, they got their visas last Friday, so they
Wow.
should be going to Italy
Wow.
in 2 weeks.
All right. So, what is not going to take you out of this country? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I told you and there's a lot more we could be talking about that this gentleman does. It's just, it's phenomenal. And his story, it gives you goosebumps. So I hope you're not going to come in and, Pastor, look, I've given my best to Gambia. Pastor, I'm going to Italy to eat the pizza.
No,
You're home.
no, I don't see. That's not going to happen, unless I am banned from.
That's not going to happen.
From sitting in this country.
That's not going to happen.
Well, Jaama used to send people.
Well, those days are gone. Those days.
But
So
we have to make this country better. Just before I got here, I was saying most of the things we go through in this country is by design. People are focused on how do I get my depends. I'm not worried about what is happening there.
the bigger picture.
No. So if you come and give them Sakumala, they're okay. So whatever you're doing there, it's not their problem. Even in the football, people are worried about how do I stay in the league? How do I get the opportunity to travel? So they're not worried about the issues that are surrounding.
So we just remain where we are.
Yes. So unless there's a mindset change, I watched one of the videos that you did. That there's a country that has a mindset reform. I know the country.
We all know the country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that we need. These sort of things would help. Talk shows. You go to Senegal, they debate about everything. They debate about everything.
And it's mind expansion.
So you go to even a groundnut seller or somebody who sells tea. But here, you talk to them about politics, they'll give you their opinion. But here, they're like, boy, that sort of thing. And that is not going to make it work. We have to do the best we can to make it work.
Great.
So from our side, on the football side, we are making sure people, when I was getting to the GFF elections, people said, I'm here. I'm here like Standard Chartered Bank.
And you're
here for good.
You have to stay. And so, by any chance, does Madam love football? By choice?
Now she
Oh,
does.
Lord, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, I remember we had that great dinner together, and that was fun. So,
She's one of my biggest supporters.
which of the boys plays?
I'll tell you a funny story. Alassane, my son Alassane, he's
Yes.
now in the US.
Okay.
I used to take him to Q City to play. I'm paying $1,000 every month. This
Yeah.
boy was playing. One day he comes to me with his friends and said, Daddy, my boys, my classmates, they want us to do, jerseys with our names at the back. So, I said, okay, that's fine. Go and bring the list. They come with the list.
His name was not there.
I said, Alassane, Papa. I call him Papa. I said, Papa, how come your name is? So they say I'm the president. I said,
Always the president.
I said, go and play.
I remember that story.
I said, go and play. It's the players that make more money.
That's right.
He's like, no. And the kids were behind there saying, Uncle Sadibou, no, he manages. So I said, he's not managing anything. So he's decided not to.
Oh, wow.
Well,
But are you hopeful for football? in the Gambia?
I'm very optimistic. I'm very optimistic about, I'm still optimistic about the future of football in this country. It's just the right buttons we're not touching at the moment. And with time, we would. Because what we're doing and what other people are doing now, after the JFF elections, now you see pages like Gumfoot or other, people talking about this is how much money is coming. Before you wouldn't hear that. So now we've managed to stimulate interest and passion. So people have interest in football now. It will change.
Wow.
The right policies, we just need the right policies in place. And then people looking at the interest of the greater good, football will change.
Are you in any way involved in helping our star players manage their resources? Because I've seen, they call them reels, of these little videos of some well-known former Nigerian footballers, and it's bad.
Yeah, I do that. Before I came here, in fact, I was checking a property for one of the players.
Okay.
I mean, with that, I help them, with fixed deposits and stuff like that, with their finances. I monitor their bank accounts.
Good.
There are times I send my players home when they're here on holiday. I tell them, you've been here far too long, so you go back. And they listen.
That's good.
They listen. So that's one thing that I also do. I help them manage because I've seen professional players who've gone up to that level, and I'm not charging them for that. I don't charge them. So they come, they buy me a Z Fold or an iPhone 15, or okay, Sadibou, we're buying you this. I travel. I remember one of my players was buying a bag, 1,500 euro, and they say, grab one. I say, grab one of what? He says, the bag. I said, give me the cash.
Give me the cash, man.
He's like, no, I'm treating you. I said, no, I know you treat me, but still give me that one. But I do that. I help these players manage their finances, buy properties.
And what's the average lifespan of a footballer? 33, 35?
For a footballer?
Yeah.
10 years in your career, 10 years or less. So if you're in your 30s by then, I mean, you have young players that are coming in, they'll be pushing you out.
Oh.
So if you're 25, 26, 27, you should be in your prime. By the time you're 29, 30, because they are 16, 17-year-olds that are coming, they're vying for the same position.
The academies.
So from 20 to 30, that's your best.
So what happens to them after that?
A good number of them would probably venture into business. Some of them don't manage their finances well. We've seen professional players now in this country buying clubs, which is really good.
That's good.
Progressive thinking, because they are buying clubs and they're having academies.
Oh, that's good.
And, that is a good investment. A good number of them would buy properties. And what I've started telling some of them is to look into some areas where they can buy shares in certain companies that are doing very well.
Wow. Well, I'm going to say it again. I told you, this is Sadibou Kamaso. Sadibou, as we begin to round up, there's something I want to know. Are you in any way involved in helping the footballers, one with the culture shock when you go and suddenly see a country where there is no NAVEC problem, there is no water problem? And secondly, sometimes maybe the unfortunate racial prejudice issue, temper issues, female issues, things that can just bring them back. Are you?
Yes.
Do they have that kind of orientation? And even intelligent football, those days when you could the ball up, we all shout police. And are they into all that?
Yeah, for the technical aspect, they would have, like the coaches and the technical directors that help them with that. We focus more on the emotional aspect.
Okay.
It's a new area in football called emotional intelligence. And I have a friend, Nick Azzeni, he's Italian, but lives in the UK. He lectures there. In fact, we did an interview. He's into football, emotional intelligence. So we have a lot of sessions, and sometimes I'll tell him, this is what a player, then he'll tell you. Then there are times you refer the player directly to him. Because they go through, most of the times, that's what they go through. It's not even the culture shock, it's the complex. You're here watching Ronaldo on TV, and next thing you're playing against him. For instance, Yankuba Minte, 2 years ago, the last AFCON, 2021, when they qualified, he was in the window jumping, Musabara, Scorpions. The next AFCON, he was one of the top players. So imagine a player like that is in Europe, and, there's nobody that is helping them understand how to adjust and adapt to the system. It's difficult. There are times when players leave here, they go to Europe, and they'll be like, oh, he didn't pass the trials. It's not that they cannot play, but they're there. Maybe they say training 8 o'clock.
Oh, Lord.
Do you know what I mean? And
he showed up at 10.
Even 8:05, those people don't joke. They just send a message, and they'll say no phones at breakfast. he just comes there. But in Gambia, then you know, Papa, you know, there's no time for that.
Yeah.
So we enlighten them, you know, in those areas. We just give a bit of orientation to say, when they say, sometimes I take players. I remember there was a time I was taking 2 players to Dakar for their visas. I told the player to be at his junction 5:30. I was there 5:30, he wasn't. I drove past. The other player in the car, because I told him to be at Westfield at 5:15. He was there. When we drove past, he called him. I could hear him whispering, "Sadu, they hard time." You know, we learned that from here. You know,
Yes.
So, you know, how he got to the ferry, he found us there. He said, "Yo, and you know these kids and visas."
Yes.
I don't know how he got a taxi that early morning. So we make sure they understand
structure.
those things that, you know, those are things that are non-negotiable.
Okay.
And you need to get them in place.
Great. Final question. Are you involved in the female football, or that's a total different thing?
No, it's part of football. It's just
Okay.
that, you know, the way they're confined within a small corner.
Right.
But, you know, it's all the same scope. In
So
fact,
give me a year. When will Gambia win AFCON?
It's possible even in 2027, 2025. 2025 is Morocco. You know, 2027 is...
Okay, I wasn't going to touch that, but we don't have a stadium to play. So when are we going to win this thing?
The thing is, you know, I keep telling people that they cannot measure the success of Gambian football by the qualification of our national team to the AFCON. Because all the players that are playing there are not playing locally.
Okay.
They're all playing outside.
That's true.
They're all professionals.
That's true.
The way to measure success of football in this country is if we have good infrastructure and the league is generating revenue, there's stakeholder participation. You look at Nawetan generates more revenue than even the league because there is no fan engagement. That's another topic we can, you know.
Wow.
But 2025 is Morocco and 2027 is East Africa. Uganda, Kenya, and
Yeah,
Rwanda.
the 3 are coming together.
Yes. The promoted
Well,
bit.
wish them well and hope that... So when Gambia scores a goal, do you scream?
You should. I remember we were in Angola and you know VVIP.
Yeah.
I jumped and they were like, "This is VVIP." I said, "Gambia just scored." Yeah.
So he's passionate, he's sold out, patriotic, committed, husband, father, lawyer, international relations expert, entrepreneur,
The lawyers wouldn't want me
public
to say
speaker.
that. I am not
Okay. Law in any way. I'm told you I'm not a journalist.
No, I can be a third-class magistrate.
All right.
You
Okay.
know,
Third
so-
class magistrate. All right. But I hope they won't hook you into that.
No. My mom, anything.
Oh,
that
yeah, I like your mom. Anything others are good.
Maybe I can say this. Before the GFF election, she came to me and said, "Sadibou, I don't like politics." I said, "Mom, listen, the day I go to State House, if you come at the gate, I'll tell them not much, not come inside."
I had somebody say this in his mother's 80th birthday. He said he was considering politics and his mother told him not to go. And he's not going, but he asked her why. He said because it is only the mothers that they insult all the time. You sang and they never touch the fathers. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Sadibou Kamaso. I'm sure things are being scrolled online for you to touch base with him. Maybe you want to play. Maybe there is something you want to do about printing. Or maybe you want somebody who can come and speak at your school graduation, or just somebody who can be a mentor to a young boy. Mr. Kamaso does many, many things, and I'm proud to call him my friend, somebody who I really appreciate what he does and the efficiency, the expertise in what he does. He has what I want to call the King Midas effect. Anything he touches becomes gold. Sadibou, thank you so much. And I'm sure you're on your 19th passport now.
I think I have 3 passports.
Yeah, I can show you. It's going in and out. So the private jet, when is it coming? So which is the next minted that, they need to give you a plane or something, so...
They'll probably buy themselves a plane first.
Well, let them buy themselves.
So maybe they can buy one for the national team to be traveling.
Okay, I won't touch that. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a great time. We'll probably come your way next Tuesday or Wednesday. We are trying to do now 2 midweek and 2 on Saturdays, weekend. And then we're going to put together a compilation of what we do, try and do a proper playlist, and we'll now be airing the playlist so you can just watch what you want to watch. Thank you so much for being with us, whatever time zone you are in. This is Jaama FM shaping minds, transforming lives. It's internet, radio, and television. I am Pastor Forbes. Queen is our producer. She's done phenomenally well. Please repost, reshare the discussion we had with Mr. Boubacar Jaite, and this. You have to watch this and watch this and watch it and watch it and watch it and share. Share with your sons. Share with everybody. We don't have to go outside to look for it. It's here. We don't have to go outside to look for the housing. We have 3, 4, 5, 6 of them that are doing very well. Standard quality. We have it here. And so let's love what we do. Let's lift up what we do, all to the glory of God, for God and for country. Pastor Rob saying, ciao. Hey, join me in church tomorrow. We'll have a great time. We'll be talking about the things that can make you attract God's favor in your life. Sadibou, thank you so, so much.
It was a pleasure.
Wow. Always a pleasure. Ciao, people. Thank you, Queen. God bless everybody. Good night.
Like my wife would tell me,